Hello, my name is Allie. I am currently a graduate intern here at the UW Oshkosh Counseling Center, and today I would like to talk to you about the two faces of self-compassion. That is tender self-compassion and fierce self-compassion. So starting with tender self-compassion is the ability to be with ourselves in compassionate ways. That is soothing ourselves, that's accepting our experience, it's comforting ourselves in soft and nurturing ways. One example of tender self-compassion is utilizing Kristen Neff's self-compassion break, which I will actually be facilitating in another video, so if you are interested, please join me there. You can also be compassionate to yourself in a tender way by offering yourself kind words, especially in moments of suffering or pain or inadequacy. We can also offer tender self-compassion in physical ways. So maybe that looks like rubbing your temples. Maybe it's putting your hand over your heart. Maybe you want to offer yourself a kind hug. Maybe you want to drink a cup of warm tea or find a warm, soft, and cozy blanket that you can wrap yourself up in. Overall, tender self-compassion is being with ourselves in loving, nurturing ways. So what is fierce self-compassion? Fierce self-compassion is acting in the world. It's protecting ourselves. It's saying no to others and saying yes to ourselves. It's standing up for ourselves. It's setting boundaries. Fierce self-compassion is valuing and choosing our needs first. Fierce self-compassion is still about accepting ourselves unconditionally, but not accepting behaviors or situations that are not benefiting us or helping us in any way. Oftentimes, fierce self-compassion requires powerful, brave, or courageous or intense action. For example, maybe at your job, your boss has been asking you to pick up extra hours, and you've been saying yes and picking up those extra hours, but now you're noticing that those extra hours are negatively impacting you in other areas of your life. Fierce self-compassion would be recognizing this and being able to advocate for yourself and set boundaries and say, no, I can't pick up these extra hours anymore. Maybe fierce self-compassion looks like advocating for yourself in another setting. Maybe there is a university professor in which you don't feel heard, so standing up for yourself in those situations and advocating for yourself so that you are heard. Maybe in another setting you feel that your identity is not being honored, and how can you advocate for yourself there? Fierce self-compassion could also look like getting behind a cause that really speaks to you and becoming more involved. Maybe it's reaching out for different services, for example, counseling. Maybe you feel like you don't necessarily need counseling or that you'll be okay without it, but you know that you could thrive and do better with it. Fierce self-compassion would be reaching out for those services so that you can thrive. Fierce self-compassion is not just settling, it's not just surviving, it's not just getting by. It's finding ways in which you can thrive and be your best self and do things for you, stand up for yourself so that you can flourish, meaning you can feel and function your best in this world. Fierce self-compassion could even be taking a sick day. Maybe taking sick days is really difficult for you, but you know that you'll be at your best and you know that you need that sick day. Maybe it's taking a lighter class load. Maybe it's reducing your class load and taking one less class or a few less credits. Maybe it's not continuing a relationship with someone who isn't helping you thrive anymore. Fierce self-compassion can be hard. It can be very difficult, but it is really beneficial. Some of us might have a more difficult time with fierce self-compassion than others. Maybe it's someone who tends to be a people pleaser and puts others above themselves at the expense of their own well-being because they want to make sure others are happy. Maybe it's someone who's in a helping profession who feels like they can't necessarily put themselves first because what would that mean for everyone else? Maybe it's someone who is a gender or a sexual minority. Maybe it's someone who feels they have to fill a specific gender role or there are cultural expectations. There are many contributing factors that might lend to fierce self-compassion being harder for some than others. And maybe for some of us it feels unnatural. So for those of us where it does feel unnatural or where it feels a bit more difficult, we might be those people who could benefit most from fierce self-compassion. Overall, both tender and fierce self-compassion are so important. There might be moments where we need more tender self-compassion, more love and care and nurturing, and there might be moments where we need to really stand up for ourselves and advocate for ourselves. And it's important to recognize when we need both so we can provide ourselves with what we need. Thank you again for joining me today. If you are interested in the self-compassion break that I mentioned earlier or learning about more ways to enhance your self-compassion, please join me in my next video. Take care.